Hey, thanks again for pressing play and welcome once again to another edition of the Suns Jam Session Podcast. For those of you who are watching along live, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, you'll see that I'm rocking the new Suns jersey, the purple icon edition jersey. I got the Booker. It literally came in today. And it's like perfect timing because on this edition of the Suns Jam Session Podcast, we're going to welcome SunsUniTracker. You might know him from Twitter, all the amazing design work that he does there, not only predicting the jerseys that are going to be upcoming every season for the Phoenix Suns, seeing as they're always releasing new things from city editions to the statement editions to this year's icon and association edition. But he's just a great follow, all that design work that he does. So we're going to have him on the show. But of course, I got to hang out with Matthew, who's doesn't have a New Jersey on. I'm sorry, man.
I do not, but you look fabulous, man. Perfect timing, too, for a special guest tonight. You, SunsUniTracker. I love it. You said I was going to warm up to him because I'm not the biggest fan. Right now I am. I'm going to be staring at your chest all night long.
Yeah, that's where it says Suns. You're not looking at my boobies, are you?
Both.
I've been flexing, bro. I've been flexing. I do push-ups. I do like 4 every morning, man.
It looks good, man. It looks really good.
It's a really nice looking jersey. And like I said, it's a sleek, clean design. It's something that we've been talking about throughout this offseason in preparation for the release, which happened last week. And then boom, they dropped him. And like I said on the piece that I wrote for brightsideofthesun.com, I love it. Those are the best 3 words that I can utilize to describe exactly what it is. It says Suns across the chest. It's got the sunburst throwback. It's just a pretty looking jersey, I feel, both home and away. And I feel like there was a lot of opportunity, especially with our old association, a.k.a. the home white jerseys from last season. The new ones are looking really nice. So I'm excited to talk about that and introduce the world to SunsUniTracker. You know, obviously, it's great to see his work on Twitter throughout the entire season, but this is an opportunity for a lot of people to listen to his thoughts, ideas, strategies, passions, and get to know the man behind the Twitter handle. Sound good?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show. You know, it's Monday night, and what else you guys got to do, right? Just sit tight, listen to us, look at John's chest. We're going to have a good night. Good, fun nighttime.
You could be watching USA versus Puerto Rico.
Is that what's going on?
It's going on right now, but like outside of the Twins playing, it's just something that it's hard to watch because there's no Suns on it. Like I'm more excited for a week from today on August 14th. It's going to be 3:10 in the afternoon when the Bohemian team plays.
Yeah.
You got DeAndre Ayton and Eric Gordon out there.
That's
like I'm looking forward to that.
Exciting. Yeah.
Playing against Cuba. Yeah. We should post game that one. It'll be like 5 in the afternoon and we're both at work. We're both at work and we won't see anything. Let's just go off like
10-minute Ayton watch. It turns into an hour. Like it always does.
Never fails. So this is a reminder to everybody who's watching, whether you're watching along live or watching a different time, please hit that thumbs up button on the YouTube, hit subscribe, hit join if you'd like to become an elite jamster for some elite content. If you're listening to the podcast another time, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We truly appreciate it. It's time to pop them if you got them, Matthew. I assume that you're popping a Coors Light of some sort.
I do, yeah.
Pepper?
Yep.
Perfect. I'm going to have, again, my Fever Tree premium ginger beer because, again, it is the summer of the Moscow Mule. It's light. It's refreshing. It's the only thing to cool you down during this hot, shitty summer. The non-soon. That's what's going down here. The non-soon because we literally get nothing. So I'm going to pour some in here. ASM. Are you ready to drink
patiently.
This? He's patiently waiting for a track to explode on. All right. It is time to welcome our guest, making his first appearance on the Suns Jam Session podcast, SunsUniTracker, a.k.a. Mike. Mike, welcome to the show.
What's going on, gentlemen?
How you doing?
Hey.
I'm good. I'm hanging out, designing shit, so I'm good.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Not only is this your first appearance on the show, but it's your first time ever listening to the show.
It is, yeah. I've heard of you guys for a long time, and John, I think you were one of my earliest followers when I started the account, if I can remember right. I know you've been around for a long time, and always been supportive. But yeah, I just I was telling you guys before the show, I'm always so wrapped up in what I'm doing with, either work or kids or design stuff that I haven't found time for I didn't even know, like, the other day about, the whole Damian Lee thing on the PHNX. Like, somebody had to tell me about that, and I was like scrambling, like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I just don't really make the time for them like I
Yeah,
should. I really should.
yeah, it's a tough thing though. We were talking a little bit before the show. Myself, I'm somebody who loves designing as well. Art. It's one of those things. I've talked about it. We have a segment called Childhood Trauma sometimes that we do when we're running out of things to talk about, and we go back and we talk about our childhoods. And one of the things that I always did growing up was I was the kid in the corner who'd be drawing, uh, and that's how I made friends. There's people out there, like playing sports, and there's the guys flirting with the chicks and such. Like, I'm in the corner just like drawing Michael Jordan. Everyone's like, that's cool, I'll be his friend. But part of that drawing process or design process, it's really hard to focus in on what you're trying to do while you're trying to listen to like a podcast or Matthew's saying, the Joe Rogan show or something like that, because you're splitting that creative mind. And like, so what do you, instead of doing that, do you play music? If so, what music do you have like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia playing in the background? What is your process as you're designing?
Yeah, it's usually music, and it really just depends on my mood. I listen to a lot of different music, and sometimes I'd get recommendations from, people that I've met on Twitter and things like that. I tend to be, lean more to the, I guess, rock side of things, but I kind of listen to everything. I'm a big fan of, guys like Ed Sheeran and stuff like that too. Nice. So I do that, and I also, like, I will just put on just a random movie, nothing new, because then my eyes will start to wander, but just something I'm familiar with that's kind of comfortable, just to keep me company, so I don't feel alone when I'm kind of up late at night, grinding away at some of this stuff.
When you actually finish your artwork though, do you like it like the next day? Like when you finish it, you're like, oh, this looks great. But do you always end up hating your stuff eventually, or does it just depends?
It depends. And I've gotten better at, like, keeping some stuff private and not just when I first started doing this, at the beginning, you think everything you do is great and you're excited about it and you share it. Mm-hmm. And, what I've learned is a lot of people are really supportive, and they also just don't know any better. So they're like, yeah, that's awesome. But you got to have your Simon Cowells of the world too, and yeah, people that kind of set you straight. So I've gotten better at, like, I'll take my time more on stuff. I'll sort of sit back on something for a little while and tweak it and, adjust it before I put it out. Some stuff I just never put out. So it's a whole thing. But when I look back now at the stuff that I was doing when I first started, I guess it was a few years ago now, I think it's awful. I think over time, like, yeah, as you get better, your early stuff just sucks. And also,
with anything, like, right?
Yeah, like,
except for this podcast, we still sound the same.
Right, the podcast. Well, and obviously you're doing something right, because you're coming up on episode 500, which is cool.
Yeah, we're just doing a lot of them. That's what it is. Like, we were literally listening. I was listening to like episode 3 the other day because we're revisiting some old show archetypes, and it's just the same. It's like 5 years later, we sound the exact same. It's fucking horrible. We don't get better.
Just kill them with quantity.
That's what we're doing.
Yep. Yeah, that's totally fine. But yeah, I mean, some stuff I like. What's crazy is I still think like the most popular uniforms I ever did, they're on my pinned tweet. They were very early, like my sort of interpretation of what a modern sunburst would look like, and it doesn't look like the new ones that you're wearing, John. It's pretty different. And yeah, people loved it. People just absolutely loved it, and that was, for me, like my first real taste of like some kind of success with posting that kind of stuff. I think like maybe UniWatch or somebody retweeted it, and it kind of got some legs under it, and that from that point it was just on. I was just like, this is just what I'm going to do. I've given up a lot of other hobbies over the years to really just kind of stick with this. So it's like every time it's just, you get a borderline obsession with it, where I'm always thinking about what I want to work on next, or what I'm going to do. Or if like something breaks, leaks, or somebody gets traded or whatever, there's always things you want to do. And I have trouble with that too. I'm kind of like dog in that whatever movie where he sees the squirrel, you know, and he's just like, squirrel.
Squirrel.
Everything I see like gets my attention, and so you know, there's projects I don't finish, and there's things I don't finish because I'm constantly just thinking about the next thing. So trying to get some discipline in there too.
Should try some Adderall. I'm just joking. Okay.
I'm a Xanax guy, to be honest.
Fuck drugs. Okay.
Well, and to reference what Mike's talking about, if you're watching, I'm pulling it up right now. These are the original concepts that Mike put out there back when I forgot that you were at Sanford and Sons. That was your
Sanford
and Sons. And
yeah,
there's a
that
story
was
behind that, right?
Yeah, it was when Ricky Rubio first got traded to the Suns, he did something about "Hi Sands fans" or something like that.
Yes.
I can't remember.
Sands fans.
And you know, I was trying to come up with something that also had Suns in it, and I don't know if I just happened to have recently seen, you know, Sanford and Sons rerun or something, but it just fit, you know, it just worked, and I kept it for a long time until, you know, I started sort of keeping track of the Suns uniforms and what they were wearing and stats and stuff like that. And at some point, I just realized there were other UniTracker accounts out there. Like, I think the Mavs tracker was the first one I saw, and he had a pretty big following.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, you know what, it's time. I'm just gonna rebrand as SunsUniTracker, and from there it just took on a life of its own, honestly.
Well, and then these that we're showing are just, I mean, there's a reason you built your reputation, because you showed right off the bat your affinity to incorporate the past, utilize the sleekness of the future. And I mean, everybody just absolutely loved it. I mean, these that we're showing right now infiltrated Reddit like I've never seen. And if you can get like the Reddit people to get behind you, you have something, because you talk about, you know, the people who are not afraid to call you on your bullshit, the Simon Cowells, if you will. Reddit, that's what they're there for. I always say there's like 3 sects of Suns fans, right? There's like Twitter, where people can be just like brutal assholes, and then like Facebook, where they just don't know any better. But like Reddit's kind of a good balance of people overall, who's like, they can criticize, but at the same time be productive in their criticism. So, you know, the constructive criticism moniker, I feel can be, you can feel that from the Reddit crowd. And when those first came out, I feel like it was, I mean, that's when I started following you. I saw them, like, okay, I'm like, this guy's got some design chops, and these are some really, really good looking uniforms. Now, you look at what's happened over the past week. Obviously, the Suns dropped the new Association Icon Edition uniforms. What's your initial reaction to the new threads? And we'll go into kind of your prediction process and the different designs you went along the way. But let's just start with your personal opinions on the new uniforms. What do you think?
Yeah, it's tough, because when I first saw them, it was a different version, right? I think you guys probably saw that a year or so ago. You know, a earlier version of this design leaked, and I was probably one of the first, or one of the first sort of somewhat known accounts at the time to start circulating it. There's an account on Twitter called Scunwong. I'm pretty sure it's some dude that works at the Nike factory, you know, somewhere. And he would always post these really crappy, grainy images of like the product catalog, because I don't know if you guys know this, but like all this stuff is in catalogs, and you know, it's on, for lack of a better word, paper, or on a screen somewhere, way before it's ever a real thing. And it's for retailers to get a look at and decide what they want to order, and you know, they mock it all up in very basic, you know, 2D stuff. And so this guy would always get really shitty pictures of that stuff and just randomly slap them on his Twitter account. And I don't know how, like, because I'm friends with a lot of other trackers and designers, like Casey Vitelli's a huge one.
Yes.
And he and I, we admin the NBA UniTracker account as well, which we don't focus on enough, but that's a whole other story. But I think just because of, you know, what we're known for, somebody tagged us in those pictures that this Scunwong guy posted, and then so we immediately just like followed him and turned on notifications, and he started posting all kinds of stuff. And then from there, you kind of make your mock-ups. And so I made some mock-ups of the early versions of these, and I threw them out there so the world could kind of see what they would look like in real life. And the reviews were super mixed, like pretty much how I felt about them. I was like, okay, I like what they're going for. I like the thought process, but the execution just wasn't there. There was some stuff that was off to me. The number font was awful. It looked like the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
I didn't like the coloration inside of the sunburst, and just kind of, it was all pretty kind of plain, lacking some color for lack of a better description.
It was just like an outline around
Yeah,
the sun, right?
it just felt vanilla, and so I was like bummed about it because I was waiting so long for us to get something new and that kind of tied into the past. Yeah, that's one of the early, even there was even one before this.
I remember there was one earlier before this one, but this was kind of the original concept that was out there blocking
pretty
out
close,
Matthew's
and
face right now.
just felt really flat to me. Actually, so the earlier version was pretty much this, but the sun's was inside the
yes
sunburst like it is now. And I think it was also like there were some versions of it that I saw where the sun's text was also white, so the whole thing was just like super white everywhere. So I was a little bummed, and I think I never know if this stuff's intentional, but I think that there's some part of design world where they want these leaks to happen because they want to get a reaction. They want to see, are we on the right track?
Yeah, get the
and
feedback.
I think they knew like they were not on the right track when the reactions to, just like when they posted the Aztec design.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
For me, and I've gotten some debates on this, but for me, from what I saw, the reaction was mixed. A lot of people were like, I like what you're going for, but this could be some better things and this and that. And I'm pretty sure that's why they decided not to move forward with those, because the fan reaction wasn't great. So I hope that's what went on here, or at least like to think that the fans helped influence the decision to sort of revisit this design, because of what we got, I think is a lot better. For me, it's somewhere around an 8 out of 10. There's a couple little things I would probably have done differently, but I do like them a lot. I think it's a really sharp look. It's much better than what we've had for the majority of Devin Booker's career. So,
amen. What would you have done differently?
Well, there's been some talk about the shade of purple and even the shade of orange. I would have liked them to be a little bit poppier, a little bolder. I think, from what I know, they stuck with the exact same, hues of purple and orange. There's some pictures going around where, the new jersey looks a little different. And I tell people to be careful with that because, especially like the swingmans that we get, the dye lots can be inconsistent from one factory to the next and from one year to the next. And so, but my understanding is it's the exact same purple and orange that we've had, which I've always felt are a bit muted. They're on the grayer side of things. I'd like the purple to be a little more blue and pop a little more, and I'd like the orange to be a little more kind of reddish orange, even some yellow in there to kind of brighten it up a little more, closer to what I'm seeing on Matt's shirt. That orange is even better. But yeah, I mean, I do like them. They're not my favorite Suns jerseys of all time, but they're definitely not my least favorite. They're probably top 3 or 4, somewhere in there.
Well, you did actually gain a big fan, though. Damian Lee on the PHNX podcast said he found out from you on Twitter about the new design. What do you think about that, man?
That was crazy, man. I definitely geeked out a little bit. Right when it happened, people started messaging me because I have a group chat on Twitter and I have a Discord, and people were like, "Oh my gosh," and I was like, I don't even know how to hear it or find it or see it or whatever. So I immediately started asking people, and I have some people who are, fans of the account and they're very hungry for information that I can't always share and things like that. And so they also are very helpful. They want to help out. And so this guy that follows me on Twitter and Instagram and everything, he immediately found the clip and was able to, he downloaded it and sent it to me, and I was like just geeking out. So it was pretty cool. So yeah, it was a fun time. It was crazy. I always just can't believe that those guys don't know about this stuff sooner.
They see us too. They know who we are. They just don't say anything yet.
Yeah. And I should say, let me shout the guy who got me the clip. That's Suns Worldwide. I don't know him that well other than some messages on Instagram and whatnot, but seems like a good guy.
Yeah, it's funny because I think the same thing. I'm like, how does Devin Booker not know, isn't part of the process? And maybe he is part of the process, but as far as knowing way before everybody. But I also remember, I'm like, oh yeah, these guys are like multimillionaires who are out there actually like living their lives. I'm writing every night for Bright Side of the Sun, designing things. You're designing things. Matthew's drinking water every night.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we're busy doing things that like we're passionate about. And they're like, yeah, whatever. It's a jersey. They've got like stacks and stacks of jerseys. So I think from a care standpoint, they might not necessarily care, but
yeah, it's
I
weird.
would say leak it more.
There's mixed on that too, because like some guys, most people are just not nerdy about this stuff like I am. And I use nerd as an affectionate term. Like I'm
Heck yeah.
such a proud nerd, you know what I mean?
Amen.
But I do feel like there are some guys who like they care about it and they know about it and they even have a hand in it. I have heard, and I'm not don't hold me to this, and I hope he doesn't get mad, but I have heard that Book had a hand in the El Valle design that's coming up. What that means, I don't know. Like, did he just consult? Did he have any direct design input? I don't know. I've just heard that. I've also heard a rumor that Mr. Cartoon was involved in the creation of the script. He's a famous Chicano style tattoo artist, and I'm pretty sure he's friends with Book, and they've done some courts together here in the Valley. So it all sort of lines up, but I really don't know. So I'm just I hate to speculate too much, but I've just things that I hear tend to work out. So
well, that's what we've noticed. Again, one of the reasons that you've gained notoriety is you're not ever really far off. Going back to like the City Edition jerseys this past year, the turquoise blues, you weren't far off with that. You weren't obviously far off with these. So you've taken your passion for design coupled with your ability to manipulate the internet in your favor, because that's what it seems like, to come up with some really insider information for Suns fans and those of us who are dying for that content. We appreciate it. We appreciate the hard work, and we appreciate your care, because it's something that you are ready to share with anybody. Real quick, shout out to Black Sunday in the chat, a $5 super chat. He says, nice jersey, Voida. Thank you very much. It literally came in the mail today. I'm like, wow, perfect timing. Comes in the mail the day that we have SunsUniTracker on the podcast. Works out fantastically. So thank you for the $5 in the super chat. It'll help pay for the jersey. So my next question for you, Mike, where did your passion for design come from? Is it something that you do in your regular day-to-day life, or is it just a side gig for you?
It's a side hustle. I've been into art my whole life. I kind of like you mentioned earlier, I would draw a lot as a kid. Both my parents were, pretty artistic, and a lot of my siblings are that way, whether it's music or, art, things like that. I never really did any, computer graphic design until I started doing this. I grew up just drawing on paper and took some art classes in college and that whole thing. And then, just a couple years ago when the Suns released their orange abominations of uniforms, and not everybody agrees with me on that, but I hated them. I hated them for a few reasons, and
so basic.
They were, and I just had this really strangely strong reaction when they came out. Like, oh my gosh, I need to try to like do something about this, and so I had always followed like UniWatch and those guys, even before like Twitter and stuff. They had like a website, and I think I heard about it on ESPN so many years ago. And so that sort of sparked my initial interest in sports uniforms and realizing there was a whole community out there, people who care about this stuff. And that led me to just, jump on the computer, and I had never used Photoshop or anything before. I just downloaded it, and I found this, really basic template that I thought looked amazing at the time. It was free, and it was in like a forum somewhere. And I mocked up a few, hey, I wouldn't do it, but if I was going to do it, here's what I would have done differently. And I posted them, and they got some good reactions, and that was it for me. I was just like, okay, I love doing this, and this is what I'm going to do. So that was kind of the first time I connected, sort of art and sports uniforms or apparel, and made that connection. I never really before thought about like all of the work that went into it and the whole just industry that there is, out there. I've learned so much since I started this account about, like the Sunburst uniform designs and Tom O'Grady and that whole just era, that was basically my whole childhood growing up was, basketball jerseys. It's just what I remember the most from being a kid, and didn't realize how much it impacted me until I decided one day I was going to try to make my own.
Well, like, what is your actual uniform set? Like the best one of all time? It can be Suns, non-Suns. Which ones are like the most stunning to you that you can just, think about? Like, oh, those are so good. I wish they can come back, or maybe they came back. Is it those?
No,
ones?
it's the Sunburst, the '90s Sunburst. I mean, definitely the purple one too. Like I'm a huge purple fan. I don't know why. I just love it.
Yeah, I always like the purple more than
the purple is a bad sign, man.
Oh man, well, we're Suns fans. We're really screwed. No, I've always liked the purple more than the black. Everyone likes the black, Sunburst that they debuted in '95. I was always a fan of the purple.
Yeah, I didn't love the black as much when it came out. I mean, I liked it. I was a kid, but that's what really, I think the Suns might have been kind of the first team to do the whole, hey, let's do a black alternate if it wasn't part of their main thing. I remember that as a kid. And for me, I was kind of like, why black? Like to me, it was like, it just didn't fit. It looked cool, don't get me wrong, but I always loved the purple more. If I had to rank the three, it's purple, white, black, like in that order. Yeah. But people love black. Obviously, Nike's figured that out. Every team comes out with a black one. Aside from the Suns, geez, I don't even know. I don't know that I think about. I guess it's got to be like probably the Raiders, right? Like
basic.
They haven't changed because they don't have to.
There you go.
Yeah. Everybody wants to wear black like the Raiders. I mean, they're the only team I can think of that doesn't even do like an alternate helmet, really, right? Because they just don't have to. It's just so
iconic.
It's so good. They haven't even changed their logo. Their logo's still like the same, pretty much the same, old school line drawing style logo from the 60s and 70s that, most teams have modernized their logos. They've gone to kind of the thick line art style, and yeah, the Raiders are just like, they just stick up a big middle finger to they even gloated about it, like, because there's all these hype around all these uniforms and a bunch of teams getting it wrong. And the Raiders are just like, yeah, we don't have to do that. And we're still the best looking team in all of sports forever. It's just, it's gotta be them, right?
Well, that brings me to an interesting question.
You know what time it is.
Trivia time.
I got a trivia question for both of you here. Let's see if you know.
Okay.
There's only one team in the NBA who's never changed their logo. Who is it?
Wow. I feel like I should know this.
Since their conception, they've never changed their logo.
I feel like I should know it. I'm going to think for a minute. Because I feel like I should know this, being the design nerd that I am.
I love logos. It is the Bulls, the Chicago Bulls.
That's true.
I think they came in.
You actually guessed it before you asked. The Bulls.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, they came into the league. I want to say 1968, somewhere there. Or no. Just the Suns came in 68. So before the Suns, and they've never even changed their primary logo. Suns Geek says the Knicks have changed colors and hues. They changed their colors again this offseason to, they had some black in there. Then they made the black gray. Then the orange has changed like 3 times the past 4 seasons. But the Bulls, random thing.
Yeah.
I go on those websites where you can like look at logo histories. It's like Chicago Bulls. It's like same font, same logo. It's like, that's just who they are. The Bulls.
Sportslogos.net, man. That's the spot.
Yes.
If you're going to do it. And I don't know if you know this, but so the Bulls logo is one of those logos where there's this conspiracy theory or whatever. Like if you look at it upside down, it looks like a robot reading a book or something. Some people say a crab. That's interesting. And actually really cool. It's a great looking logo. The Bulls logo is iconic. It looks great. Even the lettering looks great. I mean, there's no reason to change it. But yeah, the Knicks have changed quite a bit actually in their history.
A bunch. The Celtics too. The Nicholas in the chat says the Celtics is like, no, they've changed a bunch. They had some goofy looking logos back in like Bill Russell's day. Go back and take a look at some of those.
A bunch too.
Yeah, Sir Hamo, a robot DJ is what the Bulls logo looks like upside down. So
robot, I've heard that one too. Robot DJ. Yep, it's pretty interesting. And of course, you get people who wear the hats with the upside down logos now.
Yes. Which the Suns one looks pretty okay. I do like the Suns logo. This one I'm wearing on Matthew and I are both wearing right now. I really like how they modernized it and they made it a lot more sleek when they made the changeover in between 2 eras, essentially from the Sunburst to the modern era. So you said you were kids. So I hope I'm not too forward, but how old are you?
I'll just say I'm in my late 30s.
Okay, so like I'm 40 and Matthew's what 33, so we all kind of grew up in the same
Something like that,
time
yeah.
frame. Yeah, is that right,
No,
Matthew?
he's a baby.
I'm
Matthew's a
34.
baby.
34 now. Yeah, you're.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. You had your
I
birthday.
can
Yeah, he's a
drink.
baby.
No, I have hair on my chest.
He doesn't.
It's
He
Charles
doesn't.
Barkley year.
He doesn't remember Charles Barkley very much because he was just a wee lad. You know.
He was the
Ah,
first
yes.
one I remember actually when I was
Yeah.
super little. Yep.
Yeah. Whereas like I definitely remember the Barkley era and all that fun stuff because I was born in '82. So, how about here's a fun one for you. What number do you think looks best on a jersey? This is a conversation Matthew and I always get into whenever we talk about like the new jerseys that the team members are wearing. Like, oh, Chimezie Metu is going to wear number 4. We're like, 4 looks kind of dumb. What do you think the best number on a jersey is?
It's boring answer, but it's 23.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's just Michael Jordan.
Cam Johnson.
Cam Johnson. Well,
Eric Gordon.
For me, it's Cedric Ceballos.
Oh, Seti, yes.
You go back to Ced before he switched to 1 in his second stint with the Suns. But yeah, Jordan. It's just and even LeBron has carried it on, although he keeps flip flopping all over with the number.
Yeah, I know. He's such a.
He's going back to 23 now, right? He's
getting
rid of 6, going back
23.
to 23.
Such a Capricorn
23. Yeah, those
Yeah,
Capricorns.
it's weird for me to say that because I typically I have a weird OCD thing about even numbers.
Me too.
I won't leave my radio or my TV volume on an odd number. It's like, but yeah, 23. I don't know. It just looks great. When if you just close your eyes and think of a jersey number, 23 just pops in my head.
It looks clean, and I'm a huge Jordan guy. I loved Michael Jordan growing up, except for '93, obviously.
I know.
Unbelievably iconic. And I'm the same thing with even numbers. It's funny. So I was born in '82, and that means that, and I was born in October. So every year, and this is one of those dumb Voida-isms that I've noticed in my life that I have to live with. Right? It's 2023 right now, right? So for the majority, for 10 months of the year, I am an even number age, and then in odd numbers. Or I'm sorry, in even years, like 2024, I'll be an odd number the majority of the year. It just bugs me. I wish I was even all at the same time.
I've never thought about that at all.
Oh, I
the
think
math is not mathing here.
Yeah, I just numbers, design, things like that. It's like those are my OCD thing, and my Spotify playlist. Like, holy shit! Like, if you look at my playlist, guys, follow me on Spotify if you want to. Darth Voida, everybody, you'll see my playlist. It's just like, and I design all my little album covers, for 2K23 and. Pop in My Country or whatever, like whatever little album I have or playlist that I have, I design a cover for it because I am, as Mike said, I am affectionately known as a nerd, and I'll own it all the time.
That's a sexy thing though nowadays. Is the nerd thing. You throw that around, it's not a bad thing anymore.
It's because everybody's a nerd about something. Yeah. Embrace it. Don't be like, man, I like numbers.
I wish you hadn't said all that, John, because I have, for whatever reason, over the years, never been a Spotify person. And now that I know that you can design your own little covers, that might cause me to switch over.
Huh? That's what I'm telling you. I love Spotify. I love Spotify.
I've heard good things. I'll be honest with you. Amazon's got me. They've got their hooks in me. I have the whatever unlimited music streaming service they have as part of the Prime thing. I pay a little extra for, and like you can share it with your family. So I've got like 5 or 6 family members that are all
do that with
it.
Spotify.
I know, but it's like I'd have to switch.
Well, that's the challenge now. I agree with you because Amazon. I have dabbled into Amazon Music from time to time, but it's the same thing. It's like I have so much energy invested into Spotify to recreate all those playlists all over again. Like I'm done. Like I am a Spotify person now.
It's intentional that having worked in sales for a long time, that you want to have what's called sticky products, things that make it hard for people to switch. And nobody wants. I don't want to go through the pain of having to create all these new logins and create all these new playlists and train my Amazon Echo to play Spotify instead of play. I just don't want to do all that.
You're like Amazon Echo, play Spotify. It's like, are you sure, Mike?
Yeah, I mean she'll do it.
What's happening?
That shit, but
what's happening to us?
You gotta go on the app and download the skill first.
Yes.
So I just stick with, hey Alexa, play something.
Well, it sounds too difficult to switch over, but what's not difficult is your expectations going into next year. What do you expect this upcoming season for the Suns? Good stuff, right?
Yes. And Matthew's a pro.
I know. Great segue. Wow.
You like that? Did it come out right?
And I'm not a pro.
I'm gonna
by the
listen
way.
back.
As you guys know, like I said, I don't really listen, and although I should say, backtrack for a second, then I'll get to your question, Matt, or Matthew. Sorry. I used to do a little YouTube pod. It was the 5 minutes or less pod.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I did like 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I had Espo on one time.
Yeah.
Did you have like music in the background too?
I had some music in the background.
Yeah, I remember that.
I
was
That was like
just,
right when we started. in
Yeah,
John's
and
garage.
it was just
Yeah.
I was like I couldn't keep it under 5 minutes, and it was just
It's
so
tough.
much work. It was so much work. And I was like, this is fun, but like I got other things I want to do. I sometimes I wish I had stuck that out because it was fun, but I just didn't have the time for it with everything else I had going. Anyway, so the whole point of me saying that is that's the only experience I have with this. So I apologize if I'm stepping on you guys. I know that terminology from the radio people.
We're pretty free flowing here. That's for sure.
Prediction for next season. I think I've said this on Twitter and whatnot. I want this team to come out and just fucking destroy everyone.
Yes.
I want them to come out and say fuck load management and fuck the haters. Excuse my language.
Please.
But we are going for the throat, and we're gonna win 75 games. We're gonna go 16-4 in the playoffs. We're gonna win the whole thing. No mercy, just annihilate everyone. I think Booker and KD are tired of the shade. I'm hoping Beal comes out with a lot to prove. I think they've put together a lot of great pieces, and I think Vogel's going to be a nice change from the stuff we've had with Monty. I mean, it's all going to come down to health. It's really hard anymore to think that any team is going to make it through a season without somebody being hurt for a good stretch. But I think when you try to avoid injuries by resting guys and this and that, it always just backfires. Like these guys play ball, just let them play ball, and just go out there and kill everybody. And we saw what the Warriors did a few years ago when they won 73, and then when they lost in the finals. I mean, I feel like that was kind of a a narrated job, if you will.
Yeah.
Hey, let's set up the third match and the whole narrative. Like the Warriors were dominating that series against Cleveland, and then all of a sudden Draymond gets suspended and the Cavs get away with some of the most physical play I've ever seen. I just feel like the Warriors were the better team, and they proved it all season long. I think the Suns need to come out and say, yeah, we're gonna beat that. We're gonna. I'm not. I don't. Do I actually think it's going to happen? No, I think it's probably more like a 60 to 65 win team. But
still, that's not bad.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, they'll probably do it. But you forgot one big piece. Suns Geek brought him up. DeAndre Ayton. Your thoughts, just really quick. What do you think about him going?
Hold on.
You kind of avoided him.
We have a drop for Ayton. Hold on.
Ayton, watch.
We do on our podcast. Player has his own specific drop, like Bradley Beal.
She said you're not the only one, but you're the best, Bradley. Boom.
Like I can't wait in the Suns uniform.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him in the Suns uniform for that one so bad.
I'm glad you used that clip because I don't think people realize how aggressive he is going to the basket.
He is, man. He's
crazy. Like go on YouTube and just look up Bradley Beal dunks or Bradley Beal clutch plays, and man, he's. Wow.
We will not have any issues getting to the line this year as a team. But
no.
Back to DA.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on Ayton?
This was not in the pre-show prep.
Curveball nowhere, man.
What we do.
Sorry to throw it at you.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Dave King and I used to get along, and we don't anymore because he's such a staunch Ayton defender, and I've been really critical of Ayton. So I'm a fan, first of all, of DeAndre Ayton, of course. I mean, I was excited when we drafted him. I hate Luka Doncic. I don't care. Like, I'm one of those dudes where I'm like, if Luka was on my team, I would fucking hate him. Like, I just shut up and play basketball and stop whining all over the place. It drives me nuts.
Amen.
And I like Ayton. He's an Arizona product, and I really thought he was going to be, a really dominant player. He's a good player. And I have the same frustrations with Ayton that a lot of fans do with the, seeming to have a lack of focus, a lack of all-out effort all the time. And part of that comes from, having played basketball a lot growing up in my life. You never saw me on the court when I wasn't just killing myself. And I expect that out of everybody. And I know everybody's different. But he's talked himself into a lot of criticism over the years by, kind of hyping himself up. And for me, he's burned all those bridges. Like, the stuff he said recently about trying to change the narrative and all that, like, I don't want to hear it anymore. I just want to see it. And if I see it, great, we're all going to get behind you. But if I don't see it, then, it's just like, he's not going to be here, right? Like, I think we all know they had been trying to trade him. They did not get, enough back to make a deal. That doesn't mean they won't still trade him, especially if things are not going well.
100%.
I want him to do well. I love the kid. I think he's just some people just don't have that dog in him. He doesn't want to go out there and tear the rim down and hurt people. He's a happy dude. He's a young dude. He's making a lot of money. And some people are Devin Booker, where basketball is just their life and they love it and they want to go out there and just, do everything they possibly can. And some people are not, and that's okay. Like, I try to remember that for some people, just because you're born big and tall and you can play basketball, it doesn't mean you love it.
Amen.
Tim Duncan was the same way for me. I never enjoyed watching him play because I didn't think he loved it. He was a great player, very talented, but if you remember, Tim Duncan was a swimmer. And he became a basketball player because his pool in the Virgin Islands got destroyed in a storm or something like that. And somebody was like, hey, you're big and athletic, man, pick up a basketball. And I always just felt like, watching him on the court, it was a job for him. And that's okay. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with that unless you're on my team and we're trying to win a championship. And then it's like, you know what? You gotta, and at least Tim Duncan, you could tell he still wanted to win. And he could execute in ways that allowed the Spurs to do that and broke our hearts many times. But, we've just seen too much from Ayton where he loses focus out there. Do I think that a new coach might help? Sure. But we got to wait and see on that. Monty had some strange stuff going on. But yeah, I mean, I'm in the camp of, I want DeAndre Ayton to do well. But I'm also in the camp of, like, when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Amen.
So he's got to prove us wrong at this point.
Yeah, I think you speak very similar to a lot of Suns fans. I think that's where a lot of people are at. And, you do have the people who defend DA to the death because they like him, and there's nothing wrong with like him. That's what being a fan is. But I also think that it's okay to be critical of the team that we care so much about because that's also what being a fan is. And we'll see with DA. He doesn't need to go out there. Another thing that I think is a challenge for us as Suns fans is we had Amari Stoudemire in our lives. We had somebody who had bad intentions every time he got the ball. Yep. And now you got a guy who's built very similarly, and he just doesn't have those bad intentions, and that's just kind of the way it goes. And that's, even if we accept that, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to like it. And that's what this year is going to be very interesting to see how he responds when he truly will be the fourth option on offense for a team. Can he increase his effectiveness and ability on the defensive end? And can he truly change the narrative? And that's a poll that we put out on Bright Side of the Sun last week. And, 60% of the readers said the way for him to change the narrative is to put forth the effort. And that's going to be something that, again, is just, you wait and see. There's nothing you can do except just wait and see. They just played 2 games. The Bohemian team just played 2 games against the University of Kansas in Puerto Rico as they're preparing for their the pre-qualifying round of FIBA over in just the Americas bracket. And Ayton didn't play in both. I'm like, come on, man, change the narrative. Get out there. Like, show people you're foaming at the mouth to play fucking basketball. Like Eric Gordon, who they just officially announced was on the team today, played, a bunch of minutes, played 20-something minutes today. And like DA's just like, no, man, not yet. But
I heard about that too. That's I don't maybe there's a reason he's not playing.
I'm sure there is, but again, perception, right? Ayton's talking about the perception, and he understands what the perception is, and he's going to do anything he can to change the narrative. But then he says, whatever that may be. It's like, well, whatever that may be, it's showing people, as you mentioned, Mike. Like I'm a dog and I want to play.
I'm already sick of Ayton now. I got so pumped up. I was going to actually write a piece called DA is the second best Sun this upcoming season.
Now lay off the gummies, man. Lay off the gummies. If he's the fourth best, we're going to be fucking fantastic. And I hope they eviscerate the league. But talking about this upcoming season, SunsUniTracker, SUT for short.
Yeah.
What's your favorite pickup? And don't say Bradley Beal or Eric Gordon because that's too easy.
Yeah, it's not. And obviously I love the Beal pickup, but that's low hanging fruit. It's actually, for me, it's Tumani Kamara.
Nice.
I don't know why. I just see something. I don't know. I posted a couple weeks ago something to the effect of, I think this guy's going to make people forget about Mikal Bridges a little quicker than they thought. There's just something about him. He just looks like a really good basketball player. And he looks like he's confident, and that's something that, to me, if I was a scout or, a GM or whatever, looking to draft young players, for me, that's the first thing I'm looking for. Are you confident? Like, confidence, and I see it when my kids play basketball in their leagues. When my son is playing against kids that he knows he's better than, it shows. He has confidence, and that translates to his game. But if he's going against somebody that he thinks might be better than him, and the confidence comes down a little bit, it totally takes away from his game. And that was always the same for me too. When I was playing, and if I knew I was the best guy on the court, I was going to play like it. But if I went out there and there was guys that were as good as me or maybe better than me, it would just shake me. It would just rattle my game. And so for him, I just see something where he's built for it. And I don't know, man. I mean, I know it's summer league, but like, you got to try to take something away from it, right? And I just really liked what we saw from him, and I think he's going to get more time in the rotation than maybe people think.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Hey, I got 2 questions really quick.
All right.
Fire away.
Favorite Sun of all time? These are difficult. And favorite moment of all time in Sun's history?
Favorite Sun of all time is Charles Barkley.
Nice.
I will say, for a long time, it was Charles Barkley, and then it was Sean Marion. I would say that Booker has I can't believe I'm saying this, but he has passed Sean Marion for me. And he's creeping on Charles. He'll get there. I've already said that Devin Booker's the greatest Phoenix Suns player of all time. I think he's already done enough.
I said that.
Yeah, I think he's done enough.
Too.
I said it 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
I've been saying it for a while. Like, and before, when I was saying it, it was more like he's going to be the greatest Suns player of all time. But now I'm like, no, he already is. Like, if he retired tomorrow, he's done enough. Got us closer to a championship than anybody ever has. That includes the Bulls, the team that lost to the Bulls. I don't think that team was.
Nope.
They never had a lead in the series.
They weren't up 2-0.
Yeah. Or maybe they had a lead in the series. I can't remember if they won the first game, but they weren't up 2-0, and I really felt like the Suns had that series won had Giannis not just gone completely Greek freak on us and destroyed us. And part of that, I think part of the reason that people have a certain position about DeAndre Ayton comes from that series, because he really played well in those playoffs, and then it kind of felt like he just got completely manhandled by Giannis in the last 4 games of that series. And it turned into the same old Suns, where it was just hero ball, Booker having to get 40 or 50 just to keep us in a game, and nobody else could do anything. And, that was when I remembered how much I also disliked Chris Paul in that series. I was never a fan of Chris Paul, and, I didn't love the trade other than, okay, we're going to get back in the playoffs and that's going to be good. And then, of course, we went on that amazing run. But then he just did what he always does and got hurt, and he's continued to do that. And so I was frustrated with Chris Paul the whole time he was here. I'm glad he's gone. I'm thankful for what he gave the team, but I was so ready to go in another direction. I just never felt like, if we didn't get there against Milwaukee, like, I felt like that was our best chance with Chris Paul. And I was ready after that series. I was ready to move on. I was like, let's go get, Lonzo Ball or somebody. Like, let's go get somebody else, a younger point guard that's going to fit with this younger core. And finally it happened, but hopefully it wasn't too late. I like Chris Paul. I respect Chris Paul, but he just can't hold up.
Yeah, and he got hurt against Denver too, and that which cost us a series too. They were turning the tide in that game, and all of a sudden he got hurt. So
I remember in the finals, he had hurt his hand or his wrist or something. We didn't really know.
Yeah.
But he was mishandling the ball and throwing it away so badly.
Yep.
I was literally like, who paid this dude? Like, I'm like, who paid this dude
He
to
does it
throw
all the
this
time,
series?
but yeah.
Because it was that bad, you know, where it was like, it was crazy. And of course, he's never going to say, take me out of the game. So
it was a
rough.
tough watch.
Well,
It was.
we got
but
Chris
I will-
Paul on the show, everybody. I'm just joking.
Well, and that goes to
Sorry.
your question, Matthew, about my favorite Suns memory. This is weird
yeah.
to say, but it's actually that Bucks series when they just kind of the whole series, especially when they lost. And the reason for that is I was watching that with my son, and he was about the same age or close to the same age I was when the Suns lost to the Bulls. And I remember when the Suns lost to the Bulls, I just cried my eyes out. You know, my dad consoled me, the whole thing. And I went through that same thing with my son when the Suns lost to the Bucks. And as sad as it was a really great moment for us to kind of have that. That was our first like big, you know, Phoenix Suns bonding moment where he was finally getting old enough to really be into the game. And ever since then, he's a fanatic, you know, so
That's awesome.
and
Welcome
I
to the
told him,
fan
like, this
base,
is part of
kid.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is part of being a fan, man. You gotta go through it. I'm like, it wouldn't be fair if they won when you're such a young kid. Like, you know, you
Yeah.
haven't had to go through this 30 years of
Heartbreak.
hell that I've had to go through.
Now he's gonna wait
Amen.
30 years, and then his son will watch the next time they go to
Yes.
the finals.
Yes, we're gonna be the
It's gonna be-
Cubs. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're the
God.
Cubs of the NBA.
That's what it feels like sometimes. Yeah, it's I was thinking about this because we wrote the questions. I was like, yeah, I think game 2 of the NBA Finals was probably my favorite Suns memory because Matthew and I went to the game with my mom, my wife, my brother. We met up with the Fanny the Flames guys. We met up with Flex from Jersey and Espo and Dave and like just all this the people that you know on Twitter, right? Like our friends that nobody that we work with has any idea that we're friends with, right? Because none of us really hang out. We all exist in this online world together, and we live and die with the Phoenix Suns. And just to have that feeling of walking to that stadium and being around those people, and then to win that game was just so unbelievable. And then obviously the next 4 games were just typical Sun stuff. But like for that one brief moment in time, we're like, holy shit! For the first time in franchise history, we're up 2-0 in an NBA Finals, and this feels amazing. What the fuck? Where did this come from? Because I mean, we hadn't made the playoffs in 11 years, and then boom, and then you know,
Yeah.
as AJW says in the chat, way to get us all depressed.
I know. First Ayton, Chris Paul, and now the.
I know
finals.
we're talking about
Hey.
sad shit now, but you know, I was with you, John. Like it was a crazy feeling. It really feeling like, you know, 90% of me was like, holy shit, it's actually going to happen.
Yeah,
But there's that other 10% of me that's like, no, I know better. You know,
yeah,
this is the Suns and this is sports and, you know, all of that. It was rough. It was definitely rough. And the thing that made me the most sad, that was that playoff run. That was the first time I started doing any sort of merch, doing some shirts and stuff. And I had a lot of really cool stuff that was going to, you know, come out if and when they won.
I did the same thing because I put all my stuff on Redbubble.
Yeah.
And I had so many designs. Like, I had a bunch of designs I was putting out that whole season. I have one of Salsa J, you know, in the NBA logo.
Yep. I remember that.
That was a huge seller.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of stuff all designed. They're still on my computer. And like, you know, 2021 NBA champions, you know, but in typical Suns fashion, it was never to be. And as so says Jay says in the chat, my grandma died a few years ago. Want to talk about that too?
Hey, what's up, Jay? I know Jay from Twitter. Yeah, I've got. I actually had a few like shirts and stuff made of 2021 champion stuff. And,
nice.
And
You
so
wear
I
it
have them in
around.
the closet.
You wear it to fries. Like I
Yeah.
was like, hold on.
I think Espo's got a print or something. I made him a print just to, you know. I was like, don't ever show anybody, but you know, here you go.
What could have been? What could have been?
Yeah, we were so close.
All right, a couple fun questions before we get out of here. If you got into a back alley fight, which all-time Sun would you have by your side?
Kurt Rambis.
Good call.
Yeah. I mean, it's like one question, arguably one of the toughest players in NBA history happened to wear our uniform. Yeah, I'll take Kurt.
Yeah, you'd win that fight too. Who do you think has the best
man. I'm not a
hair on the
fighter,
current
so-
roster? Well, no, you just have Kurt do all the fighting for you, and you stand
know,
back
right?
and who has the best hair on the current roster? And do you even know who's
it's
on the
KD.
roster anymore?
It's KD, man.
KD and his patchy
KD.
beard.
Yeah, that patchy look, man.
You like it when he grows it out and he just doesn't give a fuck.
I
just
do.
like,
I actually
yeah.
have that in my notes. I
like
love
that too.
here's the quote in my notes. I love that patchy look, like he doesn't care at all. I'm pretty sure that him and LeBron both don't shave their head because they don't want to get Michael Jordan comparisons, especially LeBron. Like he doesn't want to get more Michael Jordan comparisons. Like for me, it's
shave their head.
yeah, because like for me,
Yeah.
if my shit was that patchy, I'm shaving it off. Like, I'm embracing the bald look. I'm rocking it. I used to do that every summer when I was a kid anyway, living in the desert. Summer came around, you shaved your head. That's just what we did.
Yep.
Yeah, but in reality,
and then one summer it didn't grow back for me. I was like, oh shit.
Right. So you wear hats, and that's
all the time. What any questions for us?
Yeah, I wanna just toss some of these back your way. What are your favorite Suns jerseys?
Matthew?
I think the Valley ones. I'm gonna go with those. Yeah, I like the Sunburst for sure, but I like the Valley. When those came out, because we were in such, oh my gosh, disarray for so long with jerseys. It was nasty. It was cold out there. But then when the Valleys came out, that just changed everything. I felt like it obviously went to the finals that year, but it just brought a lot of hype back to the Suns and just brought a lot of momentum to that arena too. I just remember when those came out and everybody was just wearing whatever they wanted to wear to the Suns games. Like the crowd just looked so good with all their colors and stuff. Like the colors were just unique. So that's definitely, I think, my favorite right now.
I like the Valley. I think the Valley, when those first leaked, I immediately did a bunch of different colors, did in white, orange, purple, all that.
Yeah.
I think at some point it's going to be back. I've heard a rumor that Valley jersey's coming back. As early as next
season. Make that
in
purple, man. Make that in purple.
I'd love to see it in another color, especially purple. Purple looks good. I didn't love the shorts. I think they could have done better with the shorts and sort of transition. But yeah, the Valley, man, that's probably, I mean, it's got to be our most popular jersey of all time.
Probably. I got to go with the purple Wild West. Those are just, Matthew's wearing the Wild West shirt. He's got the black Wild West shirt on. In fact, I think that's what I'm wearing under here is my white. I
see
think
Westy in the background with it on.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys that I painted back here, a lot of them, their Suns greats are wearing those. So you got Alvin Adams, Westy, Dick Van Arsdale, Tom Chambers. I just think that it's simple, it's clean, it's unique to Phoenix, and it's something that we wore for freaking 20-something years.
Yeah.
And if they ever went back to it, I think that, there's beauty and simplicity. It's something that I have. There's a Post-it note that I have on my computer right here, and it says, "Keep it simple, stupid."
Yep.
KISS. I believe in KISS. When you're designing, just keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, and the shorts for those are our best shorts. And my only rule would be if they were going to go back to a Western look, you got to have the shorts. You got to do it.
You got to do it. Yeah.
You got to have the snaps on the front and the whole thing.
Yes. Any other questions for us before we get out of here?
Yeah. What do you think about the new ones? What's your, if it's like a 0 to 10, what's your rating?
Well, for me, John's wearing it, so it's kind of warming up. My first initial reaction was, "Oh, that's it, really?" And then, "Oh, Book's got an undershirt. Like, is this really well put together? What's going on?" You know what I mean? Like, was it like a last minute thing? I like the white ones too, but they just, I would give them like a 5 out of 10. They'll warm up as soon as the season starts and they're on the court with the new court and stuff. I'll probably like them even more. But right now, I'm just like, eh.
I think people will like them more once they see them on the court. I think the Authentics will look better. They'll look better on the players. I have a conspiracy theory about Booker's undershirt. I have a.
What, he's just got too sunburnt?
I think he's got some new tattoos, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know for sure. I don't know, but it's just a theory I have.
Okay.
And I think that shoot for him was geared more toward the fashion side. I think he was wearing a swingman. It was more to show how they would look if for example, the way you're wearing yours right now, John, with a shirt underneath.
On Cam Johnson.
Because they did, on Cam. Because they did some other shoots with Bradley Beal and others where they were in Authentics, and then they photoshopped it on Durant. He wasn't even there for the shoot.
Yeah, and DA, both of them.
Yeah.
I'm higher on the scale. I think they're like an 8.5 for me. I really like them. And part of me, I said this on the show when we first brought it up. Part of me is because I dislike the last version of the Suns jersey so much. The way that they put the shadowing on the word Suns and Phoenix, Didn't make any sense to me. You know, a light gray on the white font and then a darker orange on the orange font for the home jerseys or the association jerseys. I really just didn't like the direction that Nike originally had gone to when we transitioned in 2017. So I think it's a combination of both. I do love the design. I think it's sleek. I think it's a modern version of a classic, and I think that it's executed very well. But you combine that with, I absolutely hate what we've had for the past 6 seasons. And so I drop an 8.5 on them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm with you on, what we've had. It's been hard for me as a fan to go through such a long stretch with uniforms that I just really didn't love. I mean, yeah, I bought them and I own them because I want to own, especially like every Devin Booker jersey possible. But I will say just, a little note on them, and I can't really see it in this video, but I have noticed it in pictures and stuff. It really pisses me off that Nike uses that super thin white tackle twill where you can see the stripes underneath.
Yep, you can.
Because people think that's like, people think it's like part of the, it's like intentional, and it's not. The same thing happened last year with the classic edition. The lettering they used for Suns, you could see, the little point of one of the sunburst spikes through it. And it just pisses me off. It's just it's a cheap, it's just a cheap thing. It's just like, come on, you couldn't add an extra millimeter of thickness to that, to that fabric and avoid that,
just to cover it up. It's the first thing that I looked at because it's something on that that group chat that you have on Twitter that somebody pointed out right off the bat when they first got it. They're like, are you supposed to be able to see through it? You're like, no. When they have the authentics, you're not gonna be able to see through the SUNS and see the lines underneath it. Yep. But when you look at it really close, it's like from afar it looks fine, but when you get close, you're just like, Nike just didn't do it.
I just paid $120, $130 for this thing that they spent $5 to make.
Yeah, they ironed on, very cheaply. So, tell all of our Jamsters where they can follow you.
Really, I focus mostly on Twitter/X. I don't know if I'm ever gonna just call it X. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram too, but I hate Instagram. I don't post there very much. If you want to know, like in the moment what's happening, Twitter is where it's at. At SunsUniTracker is the handle for both. I guess I'm on Threads too. I went over there that one day that everybody went over there.
I'm there, but I don't go there.
No, I don't. I didn't want to go there. I was like, I don't want to do another platform, but if Twitter's really gonna die, then I'll check it out. But I don't like it. I don't. And for me, it's just like, it's already such a chore to post things on Instagram after I post them on Twitter. Yes. And I've done some of the apps where it posts, in both places for you at once, and I don't like those. They don't work.
They're not user friendly.
No, and they just, if you're doing images and stuff, it's just not as good. So yeah, one day AI will figure out a way to make it easier. But just for me, Twitter's always been just such a great community. I've made a lot of friends on this platform, and I'd like to call you guys those too. I think, John, we've interacted quite a bit over the years.
A lot, yeah.
This might be the first real conversation we've had outside of messages, but I've made a lot of friends and connections, and it's crazy because all you got to do is just make a UniTracker account, and then people start sending you shit. So
note to self.
Yeah.
Note to self. Yeah. I'm going to become the snuzz. It's like Suns backwards. The snuzz
right.
UniTracker.
Snuzz UniTracker.
And every jersey I design, it's just going to say snuzz instead of sun. So again, we really appreciate you taking the time, popping on the show from us. We'll definitely have you on again. Your mic sounds great, and you can definitely tell that you did the 5 seconds or less podcast because you know what you're doing on here. So we truly appreciate it. A reminder to everyone who's watching along live or watching later to give us a thumbs up. If you are on Spotify, go give us a 5-star review. If you're on Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars and write a review. We'll read it right here on the pod. So we'll be coming to everybody live on Thursday, 9 p.m. Arizona time, as we discuss every Sun who wore jersey number 20. And then we're going to talk about starting, benching, and trading them. So until then, Matthew, tell them what to do.
Go home and love your Josh Jackson.